Hello, this is David again with Avalon Grove Celtic Christian Church. We'll continue our discussion of the autumn equinox, which is also known as Mabon. Now, there's a story behind that. It's an old Welsh tale, and it's about how Mother Mabon, otherwise known as Mother Earth, gave birth to a beautiful, beautiful baby boy, which she named Mabon. Now, this baby boy could have been a baby girl for all that matter, but in the old tales, Mabon was a baby boy. Now, for 3 days, everything was fantastic. It was mother and child living in complete bliss. The mother would hold the baby in her arms and look at the baby lovingly, and the baby would look up the mother and coo at her. And it was perfect mother-child bliss for 3 days. But on the 4th day, Mother Mabon, or Mother Earth, woke up and her baby was gone. Somebody had stolen her baby and had just taken it away from her. She was quite distraught, and she began to weep and wail for the loss of her child. And her cries were so loud that people on top of the earth, the humans, hearing her cries, thought it was the wind shrieking all around them. She began to run back and forth in front of her, or through her house, looking for her child, running all over her house, and her motions running back and forth caused the earth to quake and shake. And then her tears of grief as she was crying caused the underground springs and wells and water tables to rise up, thereby flooding the land and ruining people's crops and flooding their homes. And she kept crying for help. Somebody find my lost child. Someone has stolen my child Mabon. Somebody please help me. Well, finally, somebody did hear her cries. His name was King Arthur, King of the Britons, and he and his Knights of the Round Table came to her rescue. They went out searching for the lost child of Mabon. So Arthur called his Knights of the Round Table, and Merlin, one of his advisors, along with Nimue, his other advisor, Merlin's wife, and they went out looking for the child, and they began their search, their quest, on the edge of the forest, where they came upon an old raven moving a lump of iron with his beak on the ground. And Merlin approached the old raven and said, "Lord Raven, we are looking for the lost child Mabon, son of the Mother Mabon, or Mother Earth. Do you know where he has gone?" And the old raven looked up at Merlin and said, "You see these ruins behind us, these old stone ruins? Well, these, a long time ago, centuries ago, were built by a young man who built a blacksmith here. And he brought his family here, his young family here, and he opened up a blacksmith shop. And he had bought 2 anvils. One anvil for him to work on inside of his shop, another anvil he put outside of his shop and never touched it. And a hammer never touched this anvil. It was out there for display to let people know there was a blacksmith shop here. But I used the anvil. What I would do," the old raven said, "was sit on the anvil and sharpen my beak upon it every day in, day out. I'd sharpen my beak on this anvil, and I'd wear it away bit by bit until now all that's left is this little lump of iron you see before you, the size of an acorn. Now, as old as I am, I do not know where Mabon, the lost child of Mother Mabon, could be found. But I have a friend who's older than I am, who lives deeper in the forest. He's the King of Stags. Perhaps he'll know where the child could be found." And Merlin and Arthur and Nimue and Arthur's Knights of the Round Table went deeper into the forest, and they came to a clearing where they found the King of Stags, and the ancient stag, standing before an old stump in the ground. And Nimue approached the stag, and curtsying before him, she said, "King Stag, we are looking for Mabon, the lost child of Mother Mabon. Do you know where he could be found?" And the stag looked up at Nimue and said, "Well, I've heard that he was stolen from his mother's side many, many, many centuries ago. But you see this stump that I'm standing next to? Well, long ago, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, this stump was my best friend. She was planted as an acorn upon my birth. To celebrate my birth, a squirrel planted her into the ground, her acorn, and she and I grew up together. I as a young buck, her as a young sapling. Later I became a young stag raising my own family. She became a mother of many, many trees. In fact, many of these trees around you, these oak trees, are her children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. We lived together very happily for many, many years, the best of friends. Every day we would talk and laugh and joke and just talk about our dreams. We are the best of friends for many, many centuries, until one day her spirit grew faint, weak within the old oak tree. And one night, the sun was setting, and she said to me, "My friend Stag, I'm dying. My spirit is leaving my tree." And she said goodbye. And her spirit faded away from her tree. Ever since that time, many centuries ago, I have grieved for her loss. And over time, Mother Earth took back her tree, and my friend became the stump that you see before you today. Now, as old as I am, as ancient as I am, I don't have an idea where Mabon, the son of Mother Mabon, could be found. But I do have a friend in the center of the forest, the old wise owl. He's much older than I am. Perhaps he would know where the child could be found. So Arthur and his knights and Nimue and Merlin went deeper into the forest, to the center of the forest, where they came upon an old owl sitting in the tree. Now this owl was so old that he had lost some of his head feathers, and his eyes were milky, kind of cloudy, covered over. And the owl still was very sharp, though, and he noticed that there was somebody standing before them, though he could not see them very clearly. And he goes, Who was there?" And then chuckled at his own joke. He laughed at his own little joke there. And Gawain, Arthur's knight, stepped forward and said, "Wise old owl, I'm Gawain, a knight of Arthur's round table, and before you is King Arthur, the king of the Britons, and Merlin and Nimue, his advisors. We're looking for the lost child Mabon, son of Mother Mabon. He was stolen from her arms many, many, many centuries ago. Do you know where he could be found?" But the old owl turned his head around a few times, thinking about it, and he goes, "Well, you see this forest that we were living in, the forest that we're in now, it's the third forest since I was born. When I was a young chick, just hatched out of the egg, some men came with axes and cut down the ancient forest around us, and they wanted it to build their castles, their fortresses, and they cut down all the trees of the ancient forest except for one tree, the tree that I'm sitting in now. The whole forest, all the animals were grieving and thinking they had to leave the forest because they had no more home. But my grandfather, the wise old owl, said, 'No, wait, are there not acorns planted in the ground beneath our roots? They will grow into another ancient forest if we just wait here long enough.' So we did that. The entire forest stayed here, and over time a second ancient forest grew up where we're at now. We were very happy for many centuries, and I raised a family as a young owl, my wife and children. Then my wife and I raised children, then our grandchildren, and then the men of axes came again a second time, and again cut down our ancient forest. And again, all the animals meant to leave the forest because they were so distraught and so frightened of what happened, so despairing. But I said to them, remembering the past, 'No, wait, there's acorns still in the ground here. The ancient forest will return again if we just wait long enough.' This is the ancient forest again, the third ancient forest that has grown up around me since I was born. I've been told by the spirit of Mother, Father, Creator that this forest will not be cut down again as long as I live. I am getting older and growing much older by the day. But as old as I am, as ancient as I am, I do not know where Mabon, the lost son of Mother Mabon, could be found. But I do have a friend, an eagle who lives in the edge of the forest. Perhaps he'll know where Mabon can be found. So Arthur and his knights and Merlin and Nimue go deeper into the forest, to the edge of the forest, and they come upon an eagle, who was Owl's friend. And this eagle was sitting on a rock the size of a man's head, looking up at the stars. And Arthur approached the eagle. The king himself approached the eagle, bowed before the eagle, and says, "Lord Eagle, I'm King Arthur, king of the Britons. Here's my men, my knights at the round table, with my friends and advisors, Merlin and Nimue. We're looking for the lost child of Mabon. the lost child Mabon, son of Mother Modron. He's been gone for many, many centuries, stolen from her arms. Do you know where he could be found? The eagle then did not look at Arthur at all, just kept looking up at the stars in the sky. And he goes, you see the stars coming out now that the sun is setting and twilight is descending upon us? The stars twinkling in the night sky. Those are my aunts, my uncles. And I used to, when this rock I'm standing on was the size of a mountain, the highest mountain in the whole earth, reached up to the stars, and I was able to talk and sing and play with my aunts and uncles, the stars, and feast off starlight. But over the time, the wind and the rain has eroded this rock away, so now it's only the size of a man's head. As old as I am, I have no idea where Mabon, the lost son of Mother Modron, could be found. But I do have a friend who's much older than I. Look down below you. And Arthur and his friends looked down below, and he saw a great, huge lake. And the eagle says, you see that fish down there, the size of a boat? And Arthur says, yes. He says, that's the ancient salmon. She knows all things, and she's the oldest creature on the face of the earth. If anyone will know where Mabon, the lost child of Mother Modron, to be found, it would be the ancient salmon. So Arthur and his men and Merlin and Nimue go down to the lakeside, and the salmon meets them there, greets them, and says, Arthur, I know why you've come, and you and your company have come. You're looking for Mabon, the lost child of Mother Modron, our Mother Earth. I'm on my back, and I'll take you to him, for I know where he is. So Arthur and his men, his companions, crawl in the back of the fish, which is the size of a small boat, and she takes them across the lake into a cave. Now, the moon is up, the stars are out, the sun is long gone, and night has fallen upon the lake. But as they approach the cave, instead of being dark, there's like sunlight coming out of the cave, as if the sun is taking refuge within the cave itself. And as they enter the cave, you see Mother Earth, Mother Modron, holding in her arms the baby Mabon, her lost child Mabon, cradling this baby in her arms. And if you look closely at this baby's face, you'll see your own face there. Whether it be a man or a woman, because baby Mabon represents us all. And we all are lost, and we've all been wandered away from our Mother Earth and our Mother and Father Creator. And we all find our way home eventually.